Hi, everybody. Welcome to this special episode of the Awaken Way podcast. And as I say that, I think I say that every time because they're all special. I led a workshop on October 4th called The Forgotten Center, How to Deepen Your Connection with Spirit. And I introduced a new concept. It was new to me in its usage, but not new in theory. It's all about this center of soul awareness called the Hara, that is completely in alignment with our other two soul centers of awareness, the head and the heart. When you align the three, the head, the heart, and the Hara, which is just below the navel, you are grounded and balanced and fully embodied as a soul in this human vessel. So today's episode is going to be a chance for me to answer questions that came up during that workshop that I didn't have time to answer. So to do that, I'm bringing in now my wonderful friend and assistant, Meredith Ortiz Harris, who has volunteered to be the Inquisitioner. Meredith, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me back to continue these questions, Suzanne. Hello, everybody.
You're welcome. It's always a joy to interact with you. And I know you have the questions in front of you, and we don't have time to get to all of those, but I know that Spirit will guide you to ask just the right ones that people may have questions about. Now, let me just tell all of you, even if you didn't attend the workshop, I know that Spirit will guide me to answer the questions in a way that this makes sense to you. So, just to recap, the importance of the Hara, this center of soul awareness, it's always part of us. It is a reservoir for the life force, just like the heart is a major energetic center, a center of soul awareness, and the head is as well. And they do their job, but when we're not aware of them, they're not as powerful as when we focus our attention there. So I've been doing readings since 2009, and I'm very happy with my connection when I connect with spirit, but there are times when that connection wavered. There have been times when I wasn't sure if I could trust what I was getting. But once I started focusing on the Hara and bringing it into alignment with the heart and the head and working with all three when I connect with spirit, my connection is now so much more stable, grounded, solid, and I know the truth when I sense it. So I hope that gets you excited and just gives you a brief overview of the purpose of the Hara. And I'm sure a question will come up. This is a hint, Meredith, that at some point, how the Haras and the chakras, the seven energetic centers, relate. So let's just dive into the questions, and hopefully, all of this will make sense to you and make you want to start using the Hara and the Hara method if you're not already doing so. Let's do it.
Well, actually, the questions that we have lined up right at the top are a lot about the interaction and the distinction between the hara and these other energy centers that you explained during the Forgotten Center workshop and the chakras. I think that a lot of people are familiar with the concept of chakras. So wrapping our heads around what connects them, how are they different from each other, is the focus a lot of these questions. So I'll start off with where to picture the hara. You mentioned that it's just below your navel. And one question I have here is the hara in the same place as the sacral chakra? Where physically can we picture this center of energy?
I would say yes, except I picture the Hara bigger. So all you need to do is put your hand on your belly, but ladies, you'll identify with this. The part that pooches out and we wish were flatter. I mean, it's so simple, like if you turn in the mirror and there's just this little bulge below your navel, that's the location of the Hara, and that's where I picture as well the sacral chakra. So about 2 inches below the navel, and I'm coming to appreciate that little pooching area a little more. Mine is relatively flat, but as we age, it becomes more of a challenge. So I'm just honoring that and saying, okay, that's just my Hara making its presence known.
That is so funny and relatable. And it's actually the perfect segue to another
Okay.
question. Actually, there were two or three that were similar in nature.
Okay.
And it's about the physicality of that area on your body and if it affects the hara. So one of these questions, if I have a scar from surgery or from having a C-section, or if I have a little extra belly fat there, does that affect the hara?
So Spirit says that all of our layers of our human energy field, the physical body, the etheric body, that's your template. The next is emotional field and the mental thought field interpenetrate each other.
Mm.
But Spirit says that a scar or a little belly fat that is very much a part of the physical field is not going to affect the hara. The hara
Mm.
is an energetic center that is distinct, even though the energy is exchanged through all of the layers.
Thank you. I think that not only answers these two questions, but I think many of us can relate to that question and wondering about the interaction between your physical body and your energetic body. Along those lines, another question is, I'm curious if physical health affects the hara and vice versa. For example, gut and digestive issues can be connected to a solar plexus chakra. Is the hara similarly influenced, or is it steadier despite variations in our health?
My guys just shouted chicken and egg, chicken and egg. The interaction is so instantaneous that to say one is the cause of the other is to lose the awareness that we aim for total balance at all levels. So absolutely, I came to know about the hara because of my physical challenges. I do know that physical issues almost always point to an underlying imbalance. So by focusing on the hara, that allows us to amplify the beautiful life force that gathers there, to clear out any blockages in the chakras, which are beautiful like valves that allow the flow of energy from that area to go into our system at that level. And so are the blockages in the hara or the chakra? Oh, cool. The guys just said they are part of your etheric energy system.
Mm.
So the blockages are in both. And if there are blockages, they will affect your mental and emotional and physical fields. Yeah, cool.
There are so many questions about blockages. It's like after reading back through the questions that came from the Forgotten Center and from your monthly connection podcast on Tuesday night, as you're answering these beautiful responses from Spirit, it's like they're leading to the next question. So
Yeah,
thank you
that
for
that
that.
that reminds me, I did do a special session of the monthly connection November 4th,
Mhm.
and it's in the archives. You can go back and purchase that. It's a 2-hour session, just $25. It is so filled with insights about pain and healing, and much of that comes from these blockages. So that is always available on my website under monthly connection archives. Yeah.
Thank you. That is, I think that's exactly why they had you mention it, is that some folks may want to go back and listen to the story of what you experienced and all of the things that you tried. It's the whole gamut and it's very relatable. And in telling that story on Tuesday, you answered so many of the questions
Good.
that had come up about healing modalities and blockages. But for those who weren't there, I will go ahead and ask some of those questions. And then I do want to circle back to the dantians and the chakras and how they interplay.
And let me just say that Dantian, we haven't brought it up yet. That's another word. That's the Eastern word for these soul awareness centers, head, heart, and hara.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
All right, here's one of those specific questions. Do we need to clear our blockages, known or unknown, in order to use the hara for connecting to the fullest?
Oh, you don't need to clear them, because if you're Your hara cannot be completely blocked, or you would not be living in a human body. It
Mm.
is, it's the life force flows through you. That is evidence of life. It's always flowing. It's, but like a tourniquet, if you leave a tourniquet on a limb long enough, the limb will die. If you were completely blocked, your physical body would die, but your soul cannot. So as long as you are being breathed by spirit, which we all are in every moment that we're in these bodies, and even when we're beyond the bodies, the haras are operating. So you're benefiting from the grounding presence of the hara right now. But the more you focus on it, become aware of it, hold the intention to amplify that energy and bring it into balance with a highly amplified heart and an amplified head, the greater your sense of presence and grounding and knowing truth will be. So this right now would be your ground state. It's working for you. But like I said in the November 4th monthly connection, you don't know what you don't know. I discovered through my physical pain some major blockages that I didn't know I had. And as Meredith said, I went through the many steps that I took to clear them. These required far more than just a daily chakra clearing, which I do and clearly hadn't worked, but I didn't know what that I was blocked. The pain that I suffered brought me to a deeper investigation of my own self, and having cleared them, wow, am I at a new level? And now I have a new way of being. And so the hara energy is now part of my system. So now we're at this new level. And right now I'm thrilled. And the guides say there are always deeper levels and layers of clearing. But for now, they say, let's rest here and enjoy this new state for a while. So all of you are just right where you are. But we could always go onward and upward. Did that answer the question?
Oh, yes. I
Okay.
think there were many people who asked questions about blockages and healing and um, to know what you just said, that we're alive. We're not completely blocked. That's
Oh,
a
no.
comfort.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'll try
and
to stop doing this all the time, everybody. That's my enthusiasm, my excitement, which probably drives you all crazy. So we'll try to stay
no,
centered.
no, but you know what? That does bring into mind questions that came about rocking. And you had talked about this previously and how connecting to your hara grounded you. Um, and so I wonder if you can speak to that a little bit more.
Yes, the guides are going to speak to it and they're going to tell me that it's okay to do this and why I'm doing that. What I said in the November 4th monthly connection is, or maybe no, it was in the Forgotten Center workshop, was that when I started focusing on the hara and grounding my presence much more fully than I ever had before, I immediately noticed that in my morning daily meditation, I stopped rocking back and forth. I always begin my meditation. Okay, not always. I do my best. They always correct me. Yes, always. I do my best to balance the flow of energy from below and above, the feminine and masculine energy flows. And as soon as I come into balance, and we do that simply with intention, everybody. You breathe in the energy, or you just say, I'm balancing the energy, or ask spirit to balance your energy. As soon as I would come into balance in the morning in my meditation, I would start this wonderful rocking. And it was peaceful, and I thought that was great. But when I focused on the hara and got grounded, all of a sudden, boom, no more rocking. And it was a shock at first, but my guides were able to then tell me, this is because your connection now is solid. They said, no more wobbling. So while that served me for many years as evidence to me that I'm part of this beautiful flow of energy, it's no longer necessary when you know I am a soul fully embodied in this vessel. So now, as I ask them, so what's with the rocking? They remind me, I just heard of I'm going to give her a big plug here. Kathy McManus, a dear friend of mine who I met when I first did a reading for her. she has two of her three sons across the veil, and I love her husband, Andy. They're just a great couple. She is now a professional medium. And I heard in a conversation yesterday with Irene Vuvalides, Vice President of Helping Parents Heal, that Kathy's connection is off the charts wonderful. And I am thrilled for her. But Irene, the reason I bring this up is Irene commented that Kathy does her readings standing up.
Hmm.
And Irene thought that was interesting and amusing. And I laughed because I know why she does that. I only know one other medium who did that. But the reason she does it is, well, I'm just knowing. She may give a different reason for it, but I know this because any medium that does gallery readings or demonstrations of mediumship in front of a public will feel that power that comes from spirit. And when you step up onto the platform to do a demonstration and you say, let's talk to spirit, the spirit just flows through you and you can't stand still. There may be some mediums that do a demonstration in front of a group sitting, but you get filled with that power and you have to move around. So I am feeling that Kathy McManus is doing her reading standing up because she is just so in the flow. So when I sit here and go like this, that's the power. That's not a
Oh.
wobbling, wavering connection. That's, oh, let me share this. This is the life force that just has to be expressed. You see the difference?
Oh, I never heard that before.
Yeah,
That's
I never said it
fascinating.
before and it never came up before, but I know I know it makes sense to all of you. The reason I just emphasize that I know everybody is when I first heard my mentor, Mavis Patilla, on the platform doing a demonstration, bringing through spirits. And she stood up there, and I was a baby medium, 2009. And she stood up there saying, and I know your father smoked cigars, and I know your daughter had the nickname Mary Beth. I was so impressed with that. To have a medium with the confidence to say, and I know, that shows a total trust in spirit and that awareness, they are here. And I set the goal then and there. I want to get to the point where I say, and I know. And I do it in my readings now. And every time I say it, it just brings this burst of joy that makes me have to lean forward again. So,
Well, now it all makes sense, and those of us who are listening will understand what you're feeling when we watch you and
yes.
we see you
And
come closer.
hopefully those connecting with spirit will get to that point and anchoring your connection, anchoring what you're sensing for spirit in the hara. In other words, you sense something and you move your awareness to that belly. It feels solid. It lands. It's anchored. Rather than, well, look at me wavering now. Well, I think I heard this. Well, I think they're here versus I know they're here. It's visceral. You can feel it.
I have to shake my head because as I was scrolling down the page of questions, this one that's underlined that I'm looking at right now says, is grounding related to confidence?
There we go. I
Didn't
love
even
it.
have to say it, you just answered it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you brought up the topic of Mavis.
Mm, mm.
And one of the questions we received.
Let's show everybody Mavis.
Oh, yes.
Give me a second. These are all my books here. Mavis is the Grand Dame of British mediumship, worldwide mediumship. This is my book I wrote about Mavis, her biography, Droplets of God. But here's this beautiful woman. I just love her to pieces. She passed a couple of years ago, but she's still with us, watching over and making sure we keep the highest integrity with our evidence-based mediumship. I love you. Okay.
I'm so glad you brought that up. And I believe it was Tuesday night when you were talking about your back pain and what led you to um, all these new teachings to share with all of us. Somebody had written in and asked about Mavis's back pain
Oh,
and what you
I,
think about that.
I can't believe you brought this up because I would just, I think, yeah, I know I'm picking up on the question as you're asking it,
Mm.
and it's such a great one. Mavis had severe back pain to the point that every day she took 10 milligrams of morphine. And the first time I heard that, I was stunned. So I thought she can do readings with morphine. And she told all of us, and that's how I learned that we work to the best of our ability to connect with spirit. Don't use the word work. Spirit says we set the intention to work to the best of our ability despite anything that's going on in our physical body. And she just simply told herself, the morphine is not going to affect my connection with spirit. And if it did, she'll still be satisfied with the best possible connection that comes through while she's using that medication. And I thought of that because November 4th, I mentioned to everybody that I had to get morphine for my back pain one time. And I would not have tried to do a reading that day or the next few days because that I wasn't used to that, and it definitely would have affected my condition, my connection. But if I had to remain on drugs, I would then just, that would be the new normal, and I would see how is my connection. So anybody that has to take medication, you do a practice with somebody that maybe a friend that is not as that might not be desperate to hear from a loved one. It's not as critical. And you see how you're doing. And every moment is going to waver and be a little different, but hopefully you'll be able to, whatever's going on, have a good connection. And if you're not, simply don't try until you get back to a state that's optimal.
It's just a beautiful weaving that's happening of these
It is
questions and your responses, and it's leading to the next one.
stunning. I really, everybody, I haven't seen any of these questions. Meredith's been curating them. This is the way it works. I love the weaving, right? The web.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you definitely did not, because I was just curating them again last night. We hadn't spoken till now. So this question that has popped up here is, does caffeine and other food or substances impact our ability to connect with spirit?
Well, Janet Nohavik did not want to go unmentioned. I
Oh,
don't
I
have
have
her
Janet.
book there. I wrote 2 books for her. I ghost wrote Janet's book. Oh, you do? Yay. Where Two Worlds Meet is an outstanding book on how to do evidential mediumship. It's Janet's teaching, but I wrote it for her many years ago. What's the copyright in that one, Meredith?
Oh, I'm going to
But
check.
but it's timeless information, which is so wonderful. Uh,
2010.
yeah. 2010? Yeah,
Mhm.
a long time ago. But I'm laughing because when I went to stay with Janet to write her biography for her, I needed to study how she lived, how she worked. It's how I discovered my mediumship because she made me take her class and work with all the students. But Meredith, she also dragged me to Starbucks each morning where she would get this giant triple espresso latte. It was one of those long orders that the baristas saw her coming and knew what to order, but she'd get, I think she got 3 triples every morning and then took them back to the house and put them in the refrigerator and then drank them all through the day. That was back in 2009 when I was writing it, in 2010 when it came out. I know that over the years she cut back on the caffeine, but probably more for the sugar and the calories in those drinks. She loved her caffeine. I don't, oh, she's right here. She says she didn't have to have it, but it didn't hurt her. So it's when we become addicted to or convinced that we need to do certain things to connect with spirit that we go awry, because it's Mavis who taught me mediumship, and this is true, it's my truth, is perfectly natural. Connecting with spirit is a natural ability. So to think we need psychedelics, to think we need drugs of any kind or uppers or downers is to deny the purity and the divinity of this beautiful vessel and energy field that is our birthright. Mm, mm.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Mavis.
They're watching
Um,
over us. By
yes.
the way, by the way, maybe we could put in the notes here, every year, Jean Else, Mavis's partner, has carried on her teachings with her Mavis's videos. Again, they're timeless teachings. And I'm about to start the 3rd year of the year-long certificate mediumship course with the Shift Network. First level. I've done the first level. I come in 9 times a year as a master instructor, but Jean and Mavis certified tutors to hold everybody's hand through a whole year of really perfecting mediumship. We'll put a note in the show notes. Christy, would you make sure you do that with a link to, if anybody's interested in signing up for the one that starts in January, the students get a phenomenal training through that. Yeah.
It may also be a great time to mention your course
Ah,
coming up as well, because
that's
people
true.
who are looking for training are looking for these opportunities to learn more and
Right.
learn it fresh.
Yes, because the year-long certificate program, that's a big investment of time and money.
Mm.
And that's not for everybody. But any of you who are enjoying this information about the horror and say, I want to know more, I want to make it part of me. The reason I did the workshop in October, the Forgotten Center, is because I learned about the horror a year ago this month. And it changed my readings and my connection with spirit instantly, the grounding and the solidness, the presence, the knowing. But I hadn't made it part of my practice. Even though this is a natural ability, we develop habits and routines. And I didn't integrate the hara into the practice because I didn't come up with a way to do so. And I quickly forgot it and went back to my normal practice. And I lost that wondrous connection. Well, spirit brings about this back issues as a way of saying, look, you have blockages, you're going to clear them, and now you're going to really focus on the hara, and we'll show you how to integrate it. And I shared that in the workshop, and I shared it a bit in the monthly connection, but it's up to each of you to make it part of your life and your practice, even if you're not practicing mediums in your meditation. If you use my hara method and focus on the hara throughout the day, it will result in greater changes. But one way to change our habits is by doing it regularly. So with divine timing, this was scheduled even before I came up with the hara method, and I see spirit at work.
Mhm.
I'm beginning a 7-module course with the Shift Network December 4th. Yeah, 7 modules spread out over 10 weeks because of the holidays, and I have to go away for one of those weeks in January. But imagine all of us coming together every week live, and if you can't join us live, you'll get the recordings fairly quickly after it shows, to not only learn how to decode signs and synchronicities from spirit, but how to work the hara method into all of that to make your connection with spirit stronger. So if you want information about that course, just go to my homepage, SuzanneGiesemann.com. Right down underneath of it will be a link to the Shift Network course. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to learn with me live and to make it part of your life. It takes 3 weeks to develop a habit. We'll have 7 modules over 10 weeks. By then, you'll really feel the benefits of this and be using it.
And people can get a sneak peek of this just next weekend, right?
Well, that will be after this show airs because we are pre-recording this November
True. I
15th, but
thought.
that's
Mhm.
okay. That you don't have to sign up for the course to enjoy that. Hopefully that will remain available if we put the link to the free event under here as well, Christy. Put it in the description, in the notes, and that's a free event where I take you through the hara method. So everybody can enjoy that, and then you can decide if the course is for you. I'm sure that they'll keep that available. I'll ask for sure.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm very letting everybody know when we're recording this by talking about timing. So thanks for
Okay.
confirming that everything we're referencing will be easily findable when you're looking in the comments and the links here. So several topics I'd like to go back to, but in particular on this topic of learning how to deepen your own connection. We had many questions come in. We did a little exercise. You've led us through this exercise where we are getting centered, we are thinking about our haras, grounding, connecting, and asking for our loved ones to put an object in our hand.
I
And
love
so
that
many
one.
questions came in, you know.
Really? Ah,
Oh, yes.
okay. Uh-huh.
Well, the
Okay.
questions are about, it's been fun to hear what people saw and what it means. And then there are some who didn't know, couldn't make out what it was that was in their hand, or felt like they didn't get anything and are questioning, did I do something wrong? So here are some questions along those lines.
Okay.
One person asked, I couldn't decide which loved one to connect with, and I didn't receive any gift. Did I do something wrong?
I would like to say that you can't do anything wrong here. You're going to get whatever you put out to the universe. So, but it depends on what your intention is. Our intention with the meditation where you say to spirit, put something in my hand, is to get a message about something that you don't know that will help you, or to sense the presence of a loved one and they put something in your hand that they want you to know. So we don't necessarily have to ask a specific loved one. We can just say, universe, put
Mm.
something in my hand that's helpful for me now. So you keep it open-minded. If you ask a specific person, often it helps if you already feel their presence or know they're around you first. So that's helpful. So if you are not confident in your connection with a loved one, then you can just say, universe, put something in my hand that I need, because the biggest goal of that exercise is to get a message that will help you. It's not completely about connecting with a loved one. We want to really solidify that connection before we play the put something in my hand game.
Mm.
And as far as not necessarily seeing what's in there, this can be very fleeting, and we need to learn to trust this instantaneous reply. Your hand won't stay empty. The mind gives you something. So, for
Mm.
example, just hold out your hand, everybody, close your eyes for a second. And I'm saying, Spirit, put a pink elephant in their hand.
Mm.
Boom, there it is. It's that fast, and it can be that fleeting, and it can disappear right away until you learn you can bring it back. So, I'm going to say something. Okay, hold your hand out. Spirit, put a red apple in my hand. And if it disappeared, put it back there. Now you, the listener, hold that image of the red apple. You see how you're holding it now, and it didn't just disappear? Now swap out the red apple with a pink elephant, and it's still in your hand. All right, that's it. Open your eyes. Some people, and it's a very small percentage, cannot visualize. I think my friend Lynette has that condition. It's not a fault, it just is the way she's wired. So if you absolutely couldn't see anything when we did that, when I specifically gave you a suggestion, then it's likely this exercise will not work for you. And so you just don't use it.
Is so helpful. I think that's going to help a lot of people who are wondering, oh, is there something wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? And maybe, like you said, maybe that's not the right exercise, maybe a different exercise.
Such as, Spirit, whisper a message in my ear that I need to hear. And just the act of pausing, getting quiet, and listening trains you in hearing
Mm.
thoughts that come from beyond your individual energy field.
Mm, that's very helpful.
Good, good.
And so that leads to one more question still on this topic. It relates to confidence. We've talked about confidence and grounding. And so to put these two together, how do you know that you didn't invent this? Whatever you received, whether it was an object in your hand or a whisper in your ear, how do you know you didn't invent it yourself?
We spent a good deal of time in the Forgotten Center workshop talking about this.
Mhm.
And always there's a knowing in the body. There's an openness if you can trust it, or there's a clenching if it's a no. But often our fear of being wrong will cause a false negative, a clenching.
Mhm.
So using the hara to remain calm, you may need to exhale to relax, and moving this awareness of what you received to the hara. How does it feel? Does it feel truthful? Again, if you start to clench up, that's your doubt speaking. So we just learn to set the doubt aside through exhaling into a state of calm and peace and relaxation. And is this my imagination? Your heart and your heart together will tell you. If it's outright false, something like, okay, I'm going to die tomorrow,
Mhm.
There's a knowing already in your heart that that's wrong. And you learn to trust the body. How about in the case I'm asking spirit now, all right? And if you're doing a reading for somebody else and you sense this person has 5 children and you're not quite sure, you're wobbling, and you move it down here, this person has 5 children. If it's still a wobble, that's a false.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's a dance of discernment. There's no absolute yes or no that like we have in the human world. So you trust that with time and practice, by evaluating when somebody can validate, yes, that's true, yes, no, that's not correct, you can feel the difference. It's
Mhm.
not something you get right away. It comes with time, and that's why in 2009, I was not ready to say, and I know when I was
Mhm.
connecting. This has taken refinement. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Led to another one, right?
Oh, yes. That's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so the next question is, for those of us who know that you have shared previously, it took 3 years for you to connect or sense Susan
My
from the
stepdaughter
time
who died.
from the time you first set out to find her, to connect with her. How long were you meditating before you sensed any spirit?
Wow. I don't have an exact timeline, but I know that I started to get poetry about a year into, if that long. Before that, I don't know, everybody. And really, my
Mhm.
telling you is not going to be helpful. My intention was to connect with Susan. And so I sat every day, but I absolutely, okay, yeah, I went to Janet Nohavic's class. It was 2008, I think, 2009. Oh, you're right. I went to a class with Anne Gaiman. I wrote about her in The Priest and the Medium. I'm not going to pull it off the shelf, but it's back there. And they've all passed to the other side. I'm glad to be carrying on for them. Um, I sensed information from spirit in her class. That was 1 year after Susan died. I picked up on a spirit of a woman's son, but didn't realize what I was doing at the time. So that was a year, but back up. And it wasn't much long after that that I took Janet's class. But in that first year, oh my goodness, I was experiencing expanded states of consciousness. I started knowing things about other people. So it wasn't mediumship, but my psychic abilities, my intuition just
Mhm.
increased. I can remember very shortly after starting meditation process, maybe within a month or two, sitting around interacting with other boaters. We were still living on our
Mhm.
sailboat at the time. And this person said, yeah, we're from Michigan. And I'm saying, no, they're not. And I said, something tells me you're from Indiana. And they said, well, originally, yeah, but and I was like, how did I know that? And yeah, just picking up intuition. So meditation is not just to connect with our loved ones. It dampens that left brain that has to have answers right now, that must be logical and analytical, which is helpful to us in human form, but gets in the way of connecting with spirit. It kind of dampens the volume there and turns up the right hemispheric characteristics of flow and knowing and discerning. So whatever time it takes you to hear from your specific loved one, know that you're now bringing your 2 hemispheres of the brain into a state of wholeness, and it's going to help you on every level of your life.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's very inspiring to renew a commitment to meditating,
Yes.
to practicing that coherence, finding the coherence and helping to, as you say, dampen the left side of your brain that may be introducing those doubts or the
Yeah.
fears. And gosh, doesn't that bring up World Meditation Day?
Oh, World Meditation Day, aren't you? We didn't even talk about this. You're good, Meredith.
That's not me.
Spirit, yay! December 21st is World Meditation Day, and I am doing a special event on YouTube Live called Awakening Through Stillness. I'm going to talk about these benefits of a daily practice, even if it's only 3 minutes a day, of creating stillness and space to find greater peace and connection, love. Oh my goodness, guaranteed if you commit yourself to this. I'm bringing in Marcy Shimoff for a few minutes as a special guest that morning. She's a New York Times best-selling author of several books on happiness. Why? Because meditation is proven to raise your happiness set point. Wow, who couldn't stand to have a little more happiness in your life? You're still going to have pain and suffering. That's life. That was today's Daily Way message as
Mm.
we record this. However, if you can raise your average happiness level, why wouldn't you carve out a few minutes a day to sit in silence? And awakening through silence? What is awakening? Come to know you're connected to all that is, coming to know that the kind of weaving of these questions and answers that's happening here is because spirit is right here and we're part of that. And to witness that wonder, you can have this in your life. So I hope you'll join us for Awakening Through Stillness. Going to just be about an hour, and I will ask my guides to lead us all through a beautiful practice where we will experience our higher self intimately. Did I cover everything, Meredith?
You sure did.
Yeah, we'll have that as a special event on my homepage as well with the link to it. And if you're on my email list, which you can join by going to my website, a little pop-up will come up there. You'll get the link directly for that. Yeah.
Oh, I am thinking we should probably go back to the Hara. And I thought
Okay.
I found this really cute, lighthearted question that you might
Okay.
enjoy.
But I'm enjoying all of this, but yeah, you know.
So one of our community members asked during the Forgotten Center workshop, do dogs have a Hara point, and is that why they like their bellies rubbed?
Oh my gosh. They don't look, I'm looking at my two babies right here. I'm looking at their haras. They absolutely do because they are fields of energy. They have the head, the heart, and the basic center. They don't use it, but it's part of their system. The guides are telling me now. And all animals would, the guides say. So not just dogs, your cats, your horses, and such. Belly rubs just feel good. That's a connection. It gets the oxytocin flowing in both of you.
Okay,
Yeah,
lovely.
good.
Um, okay, so
I will tell you that in the Forgotten Center workshop, I brought up the fact that while I was in pain with my back issues, my dog Nellie started hiding in the house, started walking around with her tail between her legs, and I didn't know what was wrong until I consulted animal healer Mary Sasson. And she discerned that Nellie was picking up on my energy and my pain and had been affected from the moment we went running out the door to the emergency room and slammed the door. And Nellie was healed by Mary working on her energy field and calming down her systems. Immediate results. She went back to normal and wasn't hiding behind the toilet upstairs anymore. It was really upsetting, as of course, but doesn't that show us that we're all so aware of the energy that's flowing through all of us all the time? And when we can ground our presence in this body and use it through the hara to sense the energy that's flowing, we don't get knocked off balance as much. And when we are knocked off balance and wavering, we notice it. Hang on, I'm going to pull something else off the wall up here. Along those lines, I keep it right where I can see it. Here we go. If you're just listening,
Oh.
I'll read it. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Mm.
Isn't that perfect?
Oh, that is helpful.
Yeah.
That is helpful. You did talk a lot this past Tuesday night on the November 4th monthly connection about the ability to observe when this wave is coming crashing on you, and maybe you feel that the tension, maybe you're feeling the overwhelm, maybe you're feeling um not grounded, that being able to pause and recognize and ask
Yeah.
and take that moment. That was a
I
good lesson.
wish
That's a good
I
takeaway.
wish that I would have emphasized that more. So I know that's a spirit setup that you brought it up now, because before I learned to ground myself in the body, become centered and present, I would feel the pain and I would gasp and I'd tense up. Oh my God, here we go again. But the act of observing actually allows you to step back. And I got in the habit. It became my habit, Meredith. This is what I didn't emphasize, of saying, oh, there's that pain again. And that separation. My husband didn't even know half the time how much I was hurting, rather than before going, oh my God, Ty, this is unbearable. I would just observe it. And can you feel how open I am now? And my whole body is, the energy is still flowing. And so in that observation, the pain lessens because I've stepped back from it and it can now flow out. It was there, but it flows and releases instead of holding on to that signal. It becomes an exercise and a practice then that then becomes part of you to say, oh, there is pain present here. Instead of, oh my God, I hurt. Yeah.
The part of you that was able to be the observer, the part of you that says, oh, I'm hurting, or okay, let's be present. So here's a question about that part of you, that voice.
Yeah.
And the question actually relates it to some of the hemisync recordings you've done, some of the exercises, the guided meditations. This anonymous asked, when I say to myself, I am the light, who is doing the saying? Is that the ego?
So,
Is that the
oh,
soul?
it's absolutely the soul. And it's the soul that observes. And it's the human that says, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. The soul would say, ah, there is awareness of pain in the field. The soul is always whole and complete. So the soul is not knocked off balance or bothered by the pain. It allows the pain. So they're both part of you equally, but one is constricted, restricted, and defensive, and the other is open and flowing. And
Mm.
it's all spirit, God in expression. That's beyond openness. That's beyond words. That's who we are. All of that.
Well, that is very relatable to think about in terms of the part of you that feels restricted or defensive, and sometimes in my head, I can be very defensive about something that happens. It doesn't necessarily come out of my mouth, but to be able to recognize, okay, that's the human part of me
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
Pause.
It's like, where's my book? This one. Mm. In the Awakened Way, we talk about the human soul dial. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you did when you just said there, I just realized that's the human side. I love to picture this dial. It goes like this. And whichever side you put H human on and soul on, it's all spirit and it's all soul. But I have a way of differentiating that. We want to be balanced right here. And when you say, oh, I'm defensive, my human side is dialed up. Let's just bring it back to balance or just become totally open to the soul. I love that visual. Where am I from moment to moment? The goal is, hey, I'm in a body, I'm acting human, but I want to really be aware that I'm a soul.
I have found that analogy very helpful at many times, just to be able to recognize, I don't want to be feeling this, I don't want to be feeling the anger, but I know where I am. I am
So
way
let's
over here.
let's use upgrading your demands to preferences. That's another great tool. Instead of I don't want to, how about I would prefer? That is just now we don't even have a desire. There's an acknowledgement. I would prefer I not be feeling this pain right now. I would prefer my kids were not acting wild right now. You know, but how much control do I have? I will manage this to the best of my ability and from the soul's awareness as a human. And it's just, it requires a new way of thinking and talking to yourself. You don't have to talk like this to other people. They might think you're weird. I'm really weird, everybody. Inside here, you should hear these conversations. There is anger in the field. Oh, yeah, because it takes me to neutral. It takes me to the soul.
Oh, so helpful. Very
Yeah.
helpful. It's just that little pause, which is oftentimes what we need. Just
Well, Meredith, I want to answer maybe two more. We've gone almost an hour, I think, but I'm going to
Mhm.
pause for just a second to let the dogs out because Ty just came home and they're at the door and they want dinner. So you pick a question. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Okay, good. Let's
Okay.
take it.
All right. There they go. They're happy puppies now. This is a crazy show. Love you, everybody. You got a good, and let me just ask before we ask those final questions. Meredith, we have this wonderful virtual librarian named Grace, and you can find her. And Meredith is the one that brought her alive, thanks to Awaken AI, our host of this beautiful virtual librarian. She only accesses my teachings and Sanaya's because Meredith trained her in my teachings. And you can find her at suzannegiesemann.com/your questions answered. Meredith, have you trained her in the Forgotten Center and this latest monthly connection about pain?
Oh, as soon as our Forgotten Center is available for folks who did not attend but want to take the course, that's when all of these teachings will be ingested into Grace's brain, into her
Well,
corpus.
I
And
know I've been talking to Bev, who's turning that workshop into the on-demand course, and that should be by the pretty close to the time this show airs. And
correct.
then Meredith will get it up, but I
Mhm.
venture to say that by December 1st, Grace will be thoroughly knowledgeable about the Hara, and
Absolutely.
the course will be available under courses on my website, The Forgotten Center.
Mhm.
And so all of this will be worked in. So any questions we haven't answered today about the Hara, you can ask Grace, if not your own guides first.
Such a good reminder. And you're right, there were 4 pages I have gleaned that were set aside from so many more pages of just wonderful questions.
Yeah,
And I thank Spirit for leading this conversation so beautifully.
yeah,
But I am glad that you brought up Grace because it it's a good reminder for all of you who have interacted with Grace and gotten responses that are based on all of your and Sanaya's teachings. All of the responses have an ability to show you the source of that information,
yeah.
where Grace went to answer that question. And when you click on a source link, it'll take you to whether it's a published book or a daily way message
Or
or from
channeling
one of
session. Yeah,
channeling session or from a monthly connection.
yeah.
So that's why we were waiting is because we want people to be able to find the source of that information and go
Gotcha.
directly to the teaching.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Good,
Yeah.
good, good. We also have a new wonderful search all of my 600 plus videos on YouTube. How do they find that on my website?
This is the coolest. So right now, if you go to your website and click on resources, it's in the topmost menu. And then you look for, I believe it's find answers. That takes you to a menu of our search options. These are different ways to look up teachings and get their questions answered. So one of those links goes to Grace and one goes to the video search capability.
Good.
If anybody has watched one of your publicly available YouTube videos and wants to go back, wants to find that video, I remember Suzanne said something about a disco ball analogy, but I can't remember what it was. You just go to the video search capability and you type in that
Disco
keyword,
ball.
disco ball,
Yeah,
and it will search all of your videos, bring up a list
instantly.
of results instantly.
Yeah.
And when you click on one of those results, it takes you to that video and to the exact spot in the video where it was mentioned.
It's amazing. And I want to thank my assistant, Jayesh Mitha, for that wonderful capability and the way it comes back. Yeah. We're gonna have a totally new website rewrite coming up here in the next couple months, everybody, so that you can find all these gifts and tools more easily. So Meredith, we need to make sure that what you described, resources and finding,
Mhm.
is still very findable, discoverable. Okay,
I think in our new website, it's going to be even more easily findable right there at the top of the menu.
okay,
This is
good.
great.
Okay. So how about two more questions? Do you have just the right ones Spirit guided you to?
Well, this one here at the top, it's funny because it's going to take us back to a story that you told during the Forgotten Center. And you were telling a story about identifying this pain that led you to the teachings. I don't know why it's up here at the top, and I don't know why you needed to stop and let the dogs talk to Ty. But the question is,
Jumped out
did
at you.
Suzanne ever tell Ty about the ceremony where you were ridding yourself of the troll? I don't know why I'm supposed to ask that, but apparently I am.
If you didn't attend the workshop, there was a big story with a mythological impact on my healing that had to do with a troll and troll energy being stuck in me. It sounds so silly out of context, but when you've been visited by a mythological figure named Odin, see my video, She Spoke to a Norse God. You trust that thought forms are real. So I did perform a ceremony to rid myself of this troll energy, and I burned some ashes at the site of an actual troll statue. At the time, I could not tell him, but the answer is yes. I ultimately told him, but I waited till the time was right. And I said, oh, by the way, and he's learned that I am strange. And he is so used to me by now that it was one of those yes, dear moments.
Okay. That's so funny. I think that that must have been a question that people had and it just kept coming up. So thank you
Yeah.
for answering that. Oh, I'm trying to find the most perfect question
Yeah,
here too.
that was a good one while you're looking because he does put up with a lot and he can't deny the effect that all of this has had on me and in being more loving and open and understanding. I hope the same for all of you.
Well, thank you for guiding us to that last question because it does bring it back to our loved ones and and just keeping that first and foremost in your heart. So this question is, do our loved ones gain more insight and emotional wisdom once they cross the veil? Is there still judgment if they were that way here?
The guides show me a firework. Instant awareness of that we are souls and what this is all about. Role playing
Hmm.
to be able to shine more of the soul's light that is actually source's light flowing through all of us. We are given the gift of life, love, and full expression from spirit, source, God, joy, whatever you call this life force that's flowing through you is a gift. And your soul comes here to express that gift because you are source that just has to flow and you can't contain it, so you take on this body. And when you're not flowing, you're really in human mode. And so the more open you can be, you're living on purpose because that is your purpose. You come here as a soul to shine the light of source. When you get across the veil, you feel it, you know it. I am that. I am this. When you can come to know that here, that's awakened living when you shine it here. But to lose this body and all its natural defenses and its constriction and its fight or flight that we take to be who we really are, to lose that because you've lost the body. You've set it aside to reclaim your natural state of openness. That's a homecoming. But we're here for a purpose. Don't be in such a hurry to get there. Die daily to the ego means I have this body. It at times weighs heavily on me, but I can shine no matter what. And because all those across the veil right now have come to this realization, either quickly or slowly, and the angels already know it, and your guides already know it, they don't judge us then when we cross or now while we're in a body. They love us, they love you unconditionally. This is a day of props, isn't it? But I keep these props nearby to remind me when I forget, because I go back into human mode. So we hope you've enjoyed today's session and gotten a lot out of it. Meredith, I loved seeing how guided you were and how eloquent and loving. What a lot. You just brought beautiful energy to this one. She great, everybody. Thank you. Any
Really, my
final words?
privilege. Thank you. I feel very privileged to have had this opportunity, and it really is special. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, everybody, take whatever spirit snagged you with today and run with it. All right. And then we'll see you back here next time. Love to all.